What is up, everybody? We are back here at King Films for another NFL video. This one, betting locks and game predictions. And wow, we are in the playoffs already after a tumultuous regular season with all that's gone on in the world. But we got through all 256 games in the regular season and on to the first 6-game wildcard weekend, super wildcard weekend as it's being advertised. But before we get into the video, I need to remind you guys all to subscribe. In the last edition of this video, only 1% of you guys subscribed that watched the video, so please hit the sub button if you haven't already. So now let's get into week 17, where we had a very productive game predictions week, second best of the season. Obviously, there weren't many upsets in week 17, so that does help out the game predictions, but 13-3 is impressive in its own right. So some losses we had. The Cowboys losing to the Giants. I was really expecting Andy Dalton and the Cowboys offense to do great against the Giants defense, but that just didn't happen. Andy Dalton had one of his worst games of the year, and the Cowboys blow it. Any chance of the playoffs in that one, only putting up 19 points. Dalton had an abysmal day. Then we go to the Jets. This was the first time I'd picked them all year, and that's precisely the reason that I hadn't picked them all year. I mean, 2-14 record speaks for itself. I thought the Patriots were just going to give up, and, well, they were the superior team, and they came to play. They beat the Jets at home, and then the final loss was actually a bit surprising. The Rams and John Wolford go out and defeat the Cardinals, and it was really just that Rams defense suffocated Chris Streveler, who was in most of the game at Cardinals QB. Kyler Murray was in at the beginning, then came back, but really wasn't effective at all as he had a nagging injury in his lower body. So, one out on everything except for that. So, 13-3 on the game predictions. Betting locks, another mediocre week. I mean, 2-2. As I mentioned, Cowboys-Giants. I was really banking on this being a pretty high-scoring game. I mean, the total was only 44, so it didn't actually need to be that high-scoring. But I thought the Cowboys were going to win the game, so I thought they'd put up more than 19 points. And this got really close to hitting. The total was 42 points, so anything on that last drive would have covered the spread. But it is what it is. Then we have the Raiders and the Broncos. This is the most frustrating because the Raiders won the game. I mean, maybe you could argue they didn't deserve to. It was just a shootout. But the fact that they win the game by 1 point, don't even cover the spread, is just frustrating. So lose out on that by 1 point. Then Packers-Bears, that one barely hits the over. I was expecting more out of the Bears offense there, but Packers got it done, putting up 35. Then Washington versus the Eagles. I mean, some could argue this could have hit the over if the Eagles play their players and Jalen Hurts in the second half and don't tank the game, which that's probably true. It probably would have hit the over under that scenario, but the football team are just an under machine. I mean, you can look at the record on the entire year. I'm sure it's very impressive for the under in the Washington football team games. Wait for the best bet that I have this week. But anyway, 2-2 in week 17. We are still 5 units down on the year. And you saw in week 13, we were 5 units down going into that week, and we clutched out a 5-0 week. If we can do that, and I have 5 best bets cooked up this week, we can easily get back to 500. I'm feeling very confident about them. And then the NFL game predictions, solid as always. As I mentioned, second best to week 2 where I went 14-2. 13-3 puts me up to overall 173, 78, and 1. So now we get into the super wildcard weekend slate, and I have the Bills beating the Colts, and I think this is going to be a very close game. I think this is going to be closer than people actually give it credit for. I mean, I've been seeing predictions all over, and I haven't even heard one person say that the Colts are going to win. And I'm saying that the Bills are going to win, but I think it's very close. You know, this is Josh Allen's first playoff game. This is the Bills' first time that they've been a favorite in a playoff game in a while. I mean, they were in the playoffs in 2017 with Tyrod Taylor, but I mean, they just snuck in and they got dusted first round, only put up 3 points in that game. So, I mean, does that really count? But this one, a lot of things are being expected of them. And I think it's all going to come down to the Bills' rushing defense and the Colts' rushing offense. Jonathan Taylor, will he get his on the ground? And it's going to come down to the play of Phillip Rivers against the Bills' defense. I think this game's going to be a shootout. I know Josh Allen's going to get his against this Colts defense who has been streaky. The Colts defense really hasn't put forth a full game effort. I mean, they've played good in spurts, good quarters, good halves, but they haven't put up a 60-minute game, and they're not going to do it against a prolific offense like the Bills in the playoffs. How the Colts win this game, it's cold weather. They got to bank on the Colts playing some opportunistic defense, getting a few picks, which Josh Allen can throw, and they just got to run the ball, control time of possession. Phillip Rivers cannot make any mistakes, and the stakes are high for Phillip Rivers. This could likely be his last NFL game, maybe his last playoff game, so he's got to show out here. He's usually been underwhelming in the playoffs. I'm saying that Josh Allen gets the best of him, but it's certainly going to be closer than people expect, in my opinion. Next game, we have the Rams and the Seahawks NFC West clash. And give me the Rams here against the Seahawks. I know this is a great upset. Nobody wants to pick the Rams right now because these two teams played in the exact same venue 2 weeks ago, and we saw it was ugly, 20-9. The Rams did nothing special in offense that game. Jared Goff, you know when he gets in these big games, I mean, it's either he's absolutely terrible like he was in that Week 16 bout, or he's fine, he game manages, makes a few special plays down the field, and they can win. And he has done that throughout his career. I say they're going to do it in this game. These two teams played in Week 10. It was a low-scoring contest, 23-16. The Rams defense overpowered the Seahawks defense. Look back since 2017, McVay has a great matchup against the Seahawks team. He's 4-2 head coach. So I think the Rams just have a great matchup. I think they match up well. I think Jalen Ramsey gets the best of DK Metcalf. I think that the Rams D-line gets in on Russell Wilson. Make no mistake about it. The only thing I can guarantee for this game is that it is very low scoring. And I'm going to say that in the dogfight, the Rams win. I say the rushing attack gets it going. Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, they're going to keep it going against a Seahawks defense, which is pretty overrated at this point. I mean, early in the season, everybody admitted this was one of the worst units in the league. And then in the past few weeks, they played the Jets. They played the Niners last week, who even got theirs. So I just am not sold on the Seahawks defense. I think that Jared Goff and the Rams offense can put up 20-plus points. And for those people who say that Goff might not play, I mean, the Vegas line suggests that he will play, and he did practice on Wednesday. So I think he's pretty good to go, but if John Wolford plays, I'll certainly change his pick. But give me the Rams right now and a pretty big upset in Seattle. Next game, we have the Bucs at the football team, and another big upset. I'm taking the football team to beat the Bucs. And I know this one is very unpopular at the moment. Nobody wants to pick against Tom Brady to lose a second straight playoff game. But I'm saying it's going to happen. How you beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, this is just a terrible matchup for the Bucs. You have a talented football team D-line, perhaps the best in the league. Then you have the Bucs O-line, which some people were trashing me in the comments of the last video, saying it's great. It really is not. Exhibit A and Exhibit B, both Saints games. They could not contain the Bears D-line when they played on Thursday night earlier in the year. That's the matchup that's going to be highlighted in this game. Whoever wins that is going to win the game. If the football team get in Tom Brady's face, force him to make some mistakes, I think they're going to win. If they let the Buccaneers sit back and give Tom Brady time to throw, well, they're going to die. So give me the football team here, and I think Alex Smith on the other end makes all the difference. I know people are sleeping on the football team with that 7-9 record, but Alex Smith actually has a winning record this year when he's starting for the football team. So I really like them in this matchup more than a lot do. I think their defense is one of the best in the league. I think that's going to carry them in this one. It's going to be very low scoring, and I think the football team can pull it out. And Alex Smith will further his legacy as one of the great comeback players in the NFL. Now we get into the Sunday slate. And this is probably the best game of the entire weekend. On paper, we have the 11-5 Ravens at the 11-5 Titans. And we saw these teams, divisional round last year. Titans pull off the huge upset, and then they pull off another upset earlier in the year in M&T Bank Stadium. Now we're at Nissan Stadium, and I'm going to take the Ravens here. This one's going to be very close, but I just feel that the Ravens have more of a margin for error than the Titans do. The Ravens actually have some resemblance of a defense, but the Titans just don't at all. And for the Titans to win this game, they're going to have to play the Ravens game. They're going to have to control time possession. Derrick Henry, he's going to have another great game, probably 200 rushing yards. And well, he can do it. He's done it a lot of times. He's done it against the Ravens. I mean, you saw the performance that he had against them last year in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill is going to have a great game, which he has certainly had great stats this entire season. But, I mean, a few stops by the Raiders defense, and this game might be over. I mean, you saw how the Browns-Titans game got out of hand quick earlier this year, where the Titans just got dusted in the first half. So give me the Ravens here. I mean, this could be a Titans victory. I'm not saying that the Ravens will win by a lot, but I just say that the Ravens have more ways to win the game and that they will win the game. Lamar Jackson 0-2 in the playoffs. He really needs to fix that playoff record for a young, great player in this league. Won MVP last year and disappointed in the playoffs. They've got to get a playoff win under his belt. Next game is probably the worst game of the weekend. Give me the Saints big here against the Bears team that really just snuck into the playoffs. I mean, when the NFL added the 7th team into the bracket, I mean, they were hoping for a team like the Colts at 11-5 who could give the Bills a good game. They did not intend for this Bears team to get in. Bears going at the Saints. And I know history might say that the Bears do have a pretty good chance at this one because it always feels like the Saints disappoint in the playoffs. Last 3 years, Drew Brees has disappointed and the entire Saints team. But this one, I mean, they are so superior to the Bears. I mean, I know they played earlier in the season. It was an overtime game, great game, but the Saints defense has gotten much better since then. They're one of the top units in the league, and you saw Trubisky. I mean, it was just a mirage when they were putting up 30-plus points every week. You put them against a decent defense, the Packers defense, and they only put up 16. They couldn't rush the ball, so Trubisky, therefore, wasn't as effective in the play-action game. And then you go up against the better unit in the Saints, and, I mean, it's just going to be ugly here. I think this one could be a blowout. I mean, the Bears could hang in this one, but give me the Saints to win that one. Then finally, we get into the nightcap on Sunday, Steelers at Browns, and this one's going to be very interesting. We have the Browns without a few players and notably without their coach, Kevin Stefanski. And I really think this matchup favors the Steelers. I mean, you saw what happened when they played in their first meeting. 38-7, absolute domination by the Steelers. Now, they don't have all the pieces on their defense, which led them to win that game by so many points, but TJ Watt rested last week. I think he's going to have the game of his life here. And then I just don't know what Baker's going to do. It's his first playoff game, and I think he might have some mistakes. You're going against one of the great units in the league in the Steelers defense. So, I mean, maybe they get the rushing attack going. Maybe they control time of possession. This one is going to be a very good game, but give me the veteran quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger got to rest last week. I think that him just spreading the ball out to his perimeter targets, I just think that the Steelers offense will put up more points in this one. Give me the Steelers to win that game. So now we get into the betting lock side, and I've got a lot cooked up this week for only 6 games. So see what you like. See what you want to tail me on. Let me know in the comments. But here we go. First game, and I feel really good about this one. Colts +7 against the Bills. I mean, this allows them to even lose by a touchdown, and I still get to cover. I think people forget about the Colts. I mean, they're 11-5. Sure, they have disappointed in some games. Second half against the Steelers. Second half against the Ravens earlier in the year. But they also do have some comeback wins against the Packers, for instance. So I think they're going to make this close. This might get uncomfortable for the Bills. Josh Allen's first playoff game, as I already mentioned, and I really think that the Colts offense can control time of possession in this game if they get Jonathan Taylor going. So it's going to be a high-scoring contest, and I think the Colts might win. I'm not predicting it, but give me +7. I think that is way too lofty of a spread. Next one, we have another dog. Give me the Rams +3.5 against the Seahawks. And I took this exact best bet. I think it was Rams +2 2 weeks ago in Week 16. But I feel really good about McVay. Great play caller. This is in the playoffs. I mean, he got embarrassed. 9 points against the Seahawks defense, which isn't that good. I think they're going to get Jared Goff going. He's going to be mobile. That's how this Rams team is most effective. Remember, it was a thumb injury. And I think they're really going to have some great running schemes in this one. I think there's no way they only put up 9 points. I think it's going to be very close. I'm predicting them to win the game. Hell, they could even lose by field goal and still cover the spread. So I love the Rams +3.5 in this one. I think the cover for the Rams is the play. Next game, Washington football team hosting the Bucs, and you guys know I already have them winning outright. And I have two other best bets in this one. So obviously, if you can get the Washington money line, I think they're definitely at least plus 300 at this point. It may even swell to like plus 350, perhaps even plus 400 at game time. So I would say definitely give that a good look because you could be looking at some great money if the football team win. But for now, give me the football team plus 8.5. I think that's a great bet because, I mean, I just don't think the Buccaneers run away with this one. Sure, they've put up 30-plus points against the Falcons 2 times. Sure, they put up 26 against the Vikings. And they put up 47 against an atrocious Lions defense. But this football team defense is something else. I mean, you've seen Brady when he's gone up against elite defenses. I already mentioned the Saints twice. You have the Bears. I mean, this just has a low-scoring game that the football team are in. I don't feel great about the money line bet. I mean, you never are when it's like a plus 300. But give me within one possession for this game sounds about right. And then give me the under. I mean, the football team have been an under team all season. This just has like a 20-17 feel to it. Last week I said it against the Eagles, and obviously it ended up happening. So I think this is just like a 17-14 game, 20-16 game that covers the spread on the under. And next and final best bet, this one is on Sunday, January 10th. Ravens at Titans. Give me the under 55. And I know I already mentioned in my game prediction that both of these teams had not great defenses, especially the Titans. The Titans are going to have to run it up to even have a chance at winning. But 55, I mean, this is the playoffs. This is going to be a very physical game. And I just want to remind you, 28-12 last time these two teams played. I mean, this could even be a 28-24 game, and this over doesn't even cover. So I think there are so many ways that the under can cover here, and I think it's a physical game. I mean, I just don't see it hitting 55 points. That is way too many points for me, and that implies just a shootout at the end of the game, which the Titans can get into, but I really like the under here. I think these two teams love to dominate time of possession. They both love to run the ball, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on either side, so I think they're going to try for a slow pace of play and dominating time of possession, and that's slowly going to eat away the clock, and then it's going to cover the under 55 spread. So comment down below your predictions for Super Wildcard Weekend. I want to know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.